So I want to introduce something called parental alienation. This is a strategy used by one parent, usually separated or divorced parents who are trying to co-parent or parallel parent. It's a strategy used to sort of turn the child against the other parent. And what they do is they slowly poison the child's mind against the other parent. And in the process, they're programming the child to sort of reject the other parent while in theory or in their minds pick them, this parent who's doing the poisoning. The aim fundamentally is to damage the relationship the child has with the other parent. So I guess this episode is for you if you've ever wondered why your child out of the blue suddenly started rejecting you. They don't want to see you for some reason. They don't spend time with you. And let's say you reach out to the other parent, their primary carer usually. And you say, you know what? Our child isn't acting a bit funny. It doesn't really want to spend time with them, talk to me. Do you know what's happening? And they're like, oh, I have no idea. They just don't want to see you. Or have you ever wondered whether the other parent is manipulating your child against you? And I guess you should watch this episode and find out some more information about what parental alienation is and pick up some signs on whether your child is getting turned against you. Hello everyone and welcome to another installment of Chris Unplugged. This podcast comes out every Tuesday at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. Now, some of you may realize I don't put this out every Tuesday, but I do try. So I guess at the very least, I put it out at 8 p.m. on some Tuesdays. Okay, so if you're wondering whether this episode is about me or my situation with my business mom or anything to do with me, I can confirm it's not, and we actually have a great relationship. But I do know people who are going through this, who have been through this, and potentially people who may go through this in the future. So I figured it will be a good thing to talk about and do some research into. But yeah, here we are, turning into an episode. One of the most painful things you can go through as a parent is if your child actually rejects you, your child wants nothing to do with you for some particular reason. It could be because of your bad behavior, it could be because of parents turning against you, it could be they just don't particularly like you, it could be for a variety of reasons, but this episode is solely focused on children who are getting turned against their parents. Naturally, children take sides when there's a divorce, separation, or when the parents aren't together. Naturally, a child may be drawn to another parent, preferably like it may be the parent who's nice to them, who's kind of who buys them things they want all the time. It's very natural and nothing worth looking too deeply into. The problem is if the child outright just rejects you as a parent. Like I said, children naturally take sides, but they usually, most times, are very happy to and want to form a relationship with both parents. So for a child to outright reject you, there may be some digging you need to do into that relationship. But before I dive right into this, I need to understand that as much as it could be the parents turning your child against you, it could also be the child just observing your behavior, observing things that you've done in the household, to their mum, to their dad, to their friend, to anyone. And they may on their own accord decide, you know what, I just don't like this parent. It does happen. So before you go on accusing someone of turning your child against you, look within first, because your child actually may not like you. Like I spoke about previously, keep in mind that your child may genuinely not like you. So before you take these signs to heart, look within and make sure that it's not your actual behavior your child doesn't like. So the first sign, they repeat opinions about you they've got from the other parents. So if you hear things like the other parents called you irresponsible, the other parents insulted you, and you find your child repeating those same statements, almost identical to what your ex is saying, most likely the other parent is feeding your child this information and your child is taking it on board. So I would ask your child to explain what they mean by these statements. And if they're unable to explain, there's a very, very high possibility that the other parent is feeding the child this information. Usually, when a child is getting turned against the other parent, they usually confuse their opinions with that of the parents turning them against the other parent. They tend to believe what the other parent says and they take it on board without questioning it, and they just accept it for reality without truly understanding. what's being said, without truly understanding the consequences of what's being said and the actions that accompany them. If one parent is telling them that, oh, your dad is this, your mom is that, they may not even know what those words mean. Like a young child of 5 may not be able to understand what it means to be responsible. So if you find a child is calling you irresponsible for some reason and they're rejecting you off the back of that, there's a high possibility, like I said, that this is information being fed to them by the other parent. Second sign, they have extremely negative views and memories of you. They may start to pretend like the good times you had didn't exist. You may ask them, try to remind them, and they may suggest that, oh, they were pretending or just doing what they were told to do, as opposed to them actually enjoying the experience. And all of a sudden, all they remember was bad things that they may not even have witnessed or they may not be privy to. And they just think you're the worst person on this planet, and this has come out of the blue. It is very, very possible that this is being fed to them by their parent. Children generally tend to remember all the fun times they have, and the fun times they have tend to guide their decisions. So if randomly the child doesn't remember good times that you shared, good memories that you have with them, again, it's possible that those memories are getting programmed out of them by the other parent. Program sounds such a strong word, it's a word used for computers, right? But it actually is what happens. Their minds are getting poisoned against you. They're getting turned away from you. In the process, they are forgetting or ignoring, or locking away these memories that they have with you and replace them with negative memories, negative views. Third sign, they're unable to rationalize these negative views they have of you. They're unable to explain why they feel the way they feel. They're unable to actually describe how they feel. They just know that it's bad, they're not happy. And then to add to that, you ask them why it is they don't want to come and see you anymore. Why is it that they don't like you anymore? And even if they are able to explain, usually a reason doesn't make sense. It's a reason that's not equivalent to fully rejecting someone. It could be something like they don't like your eating habits, they don't like the way you dress. They may say you smell. They might start making things up even just to further feed into these thoughts that have been planted in their heads. So the third sign is they are able to rationalize these negative feelings they have towards you. The fourth sign is a complete absence of guilt. They're cold towards you, they're rude towards you, they don't feel bad about it. And again, it's come randomly. Usually when children do something mean to another person, they feel bad. Or when they do something mean to their parents, because children can be mean, to be fair. But when you do something mean to their parents, they're mean to their parents, there's an element of guilt in them. So if the parent speaks to them on a level and they don't feel guilty about it, or they're cold about it, was a sign that they're getting turned against you, because they believe in their minds that their behavior towards you is justified and is deserved, and you've earned that behavior, even if you haven't done anything to deserve that behavior. The fifth sign I want to talk about, they reject any and everyone associated with you. The cousins, the aunties, the uncles, their friends, your parents, their grandparents, they reject all of them as connected. Their mind is poisoned towards you and anything and anyone associated with you. So the uncles, aunties, the grandparents that you used to love visiting, all of a sudden they have no interest in seeing them. Cousins they have on your side that they spend so much time with you. They don't want to speak to them, they don't want to hear from them, they don't care for them. Again, it's out of the blue, it's very random. So if you're wondering why this is happening, there's a very, very high chance that their mind is getting poisoned towards you, and not just towards you, towards anyone associated with you. Parental alienation tends to happen when one parent feels scorned, or when one parent is still upset, one parent hasn't got over the breakup, or they're just not happy with how things are going. So they may start to plant incorrect information in the child's mind to turn them against you. To me, and to researchers and to scientists, this is manipulation, and technically it's a form of abuse when you think about it, because it's emotional abuse. You're turning a child, an innocent child, against the other parent for your quote-unquote benefit. But before you go off accusing a parent of turning your child against you, I want you to keep in mind that sometimes children just act up. It could be they're hitting puberty, they're hormonal, they're just growing up, or they're in a stage of their lives where they're just difficult for no reason. These things do happen, right? And as well as that, like I said earlier, it could just be your bad behavior they've observed and they've just decided, you know what, I want nothing to do with this parent anymore. It does happen. So before you go around accusing people of parental alienation, think deeply about what's going on. But you know what, it's not all doom and gloom. If you feel like your child is experiencing parental alienation, if you feel like parents turning your child against you, all is not lost. There is a silver lining, there is a way to counteract this. And the first way to do this is by ensuring you maintain contact with your child. Your ex who is trying to alienate your child from you will make this extremely difficult, make it borderline unbearable, but don't give up. Don't take to the side as, you know what, I'm looking after myself, or this is not worth it. How can you look at your child and say to yourself, because their mother or their dad is making things difficult for you, it's not worth it anymore? That's next to you that doesn't watch with me personally. Obviously, you may not care what I think, but it shouldn't be next to you that watches with anyone, to be quite honest with you. So ensure you maintain contact with them, make sure you keep trying, because as a child, if a parent stops trying, you take that as rejection. You take it as, you know what, they didn't care anyway, so why should you change? If you keep trying and your child can see this, your child can hear this, your child can feel this, they will recognize the fact that you're actively trying and that the thoughts they have of you, the thoughts that have been planted in their mind, may be incorrect. Secondly, address the lies that have been told about you by your ex or by their parents. Address them with your child. Ask your child to explain, give them your side of the story, tell them what happened. Obviously, within the confines of how the older child is and what the child can understand. And this is an opportunity for you to get one over your ex by trying to turn them against your ex or their other parents. This is not an opportunity for that. Just present your side, be calm, speak to your child on a level, make sure you understand that, you know what's happening is actually not true. What's being told to them is not true. And this is how you truly feel about them. And these are the things that you're doing to ensure you can maintain a relationship with them. Obviously, they may not accept it, but like I said previously, you have to keep trying. You have to keep trying. If you stop trying, what's being said about you will eventually become true. How they feel about you will eventually become permanent. And you don't want that for yourself. And finally, teach your child about critical thinking. Teach them about the what, how, and why. Teach them to understand the difference between opinions and facts. Encourage them to think independently. Encourage them to make their own choices. Just because their mom or their dad is saying that you are the most evil person in the world, let them look objectively. Let them look at you, assess what's going on. Let them understand by themselves, like, you know what, mom or dad has said all these things, but this is not true. This is not reality. This is not my experience with this person. Teach them to think critically and independently. Plus, as a bonus, it's a life skill they will have for the rest of their lives. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with at least one person who will benefit from this information. I'm just trying to change the world one person at a time. And the more people can understand what's going on in their lives, the better it's going to be for all of us as a collective. So I'm going to leave you guys how I always leave you, and that is to make a decision that future you will be grateful for. Future will be grateful for addressing parental alienation and not giving up on your child just because of what the child's other parents are doing or feeling their minds with. So until next time, guys.